tired of being soft, not in your muscles, in your mind. You're tired of catching yourself, replaying the same disrespect, the same rejection, the same moment someone treated you like you were disposable. You're tired of overthinking instead of acting, of scrolling instead of building, of swallowing your anger, then hating yourself later for staying quiet. On the outside, you look fine. On the inside, you know the truth. You've been negotiating with your weakness. You've been making peace with your fear. You've been hoping life will get easier instead of deciding you will get harder. You've chased people who showed you you're not a priority. You've tolerated disrespect because you were scared of being alone. You've broken your own promises more times than anyone else ever has. And every time you do it, a part of you dies a little, that quiet part that knows you're meant to be more than this. This video is the moment you stop lying to yourself, because you're not here to be nice. You're here to become unshakable. You're about to hear a set of harsh Stoic truths that will punch straight through your excuses. Truths that will force you to look in the mirror and see who you've become and who you must become. These aren't soft affirmations, they are laws. If you obey them, you walk through life with a dangerous calm. If you ignore them, you stay stuck in the same cycles of weakness, disrespect, and regret. Stoicism is not about being emotionless. It's about being untouchable in the middle of chaos. Marcus Aurelius governed an empire while fighting wars and plagues, and still wrote about self-control and inner strength. Seneca lived surrounded by power, betrayal, and death, and still chose reason over panic. Epictetus was born a slave, and still walked as if his mind was a kingdom no one could invade. You are not dealing with more than they did. You're just more distracted than they were. In this video, you will learn the harsh Stoic truths that cut through your excuses, why you must stop chasing people and start chasing standards, why your comfort addiction is quietly destroying your masculinity, why emotional outbursts make you easy to control, and how to become the kind of man who walks away from disrespect without flinching. By the end, you will not just understand these truths, you will feel them in your bones. You'll have a new identity to step into, not a soft, apologetic version of yourself, but a Stoic warrior with clear boundaries, a calm mind, and a disciplined life. If any part of this already hits a nerve, don't just watch passively. Hit like, subscribe, and stay locked in. This is not entertainment. This is training. And if you're serious, drop this in the comments right now. I choose the hard path of strength. Because that's what this really is. A choice. Stay soft and keep suffering in quiet. Or harden your mind and start demanding respect from yourself first. In a moment, we're going to dive into the first brutal Stoic truth you need to hear. The one that will expose why you keep giving your power away without even realizing it. Once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. You've decided to stop being soft. Now it's time to see why you got soft in the first place. The first harsh truth is this: you teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. Not by what you say, by what you tolerate. Think about the last time someone disrespected you. Maybe she flirted with other guys right in front of you. Maybe your friends joked about you, crossed the line, then said you were too sensitive when you reacted. Maybe your boss kept piling work on you because you never pushed back. You felt that sting in your chest, that tightness in your throat. And what did you do? You stayed. You laughed it off. You minimized it. You told yourself, it's not a big deal. That was the moment you trained them. You didn't just show them your lack of boundaries, you showed yourself. This is the harsh Stoic truth. Self-disrespect invites disrespect. A man with no internal line will always be walked over by people who sense it. And people do sense it. They feel your neediness, your fear of conflict, your fear of being alone. Epictetus put it in one brutal sentence. He said, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" Sit with that, because he's not talking about demanding from the world first. He's talking about demanding from yourself, demanding that you stop ignoring the red flags, demanding that you stop staying where you are obviously not respected. In modern life, this looks like answering texts instantly from someone who takes hours to reply to you. It looks like showing up whenever they call, even though they never bend for you. It looks like saying, "It's fine," when your gut is screaming that it isn't. Psychologically, every time you betray your own standards, your brain records it. You become the guy who doesn't back himself. And once your mind believes that story, you move through the world weaker, smaller, more apologetic. The application is simple, not easy. You start setting a minimum standard. You say less and you change your behavior more. You don't threaten, you don't beg. You just quietly stop rewarding disrespect with access to you. If someone keeps crossing your line, you stop arguing. And you remove yourself. You start living this affirmation. I do not stay where I am not respected. The second harsh truth is this. Comfort is your cage, and you've been decorating it. You already know this one. Late nights scrolling. One more episode. One more. I'll start tomorrow. You avoid the hard conversation, the workout, the focused work, and you justify it with rest and self-care, when really, it's escape. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Look at your life through that lens. Most of your fear is not about what's actually happening. It's about what you imagine might happen if you finally take the hard path. You imagine failing. You imagine being judged. You imagine being abandoned if you change. So you stay soft. You stay in the familiar pain instead of risking the unknown discomfort. A Stoic warrior doesn't chase comfort. He uses it strategically. He chooses disciplined pain now to avoid pointless suffering later. He knows that the softness that feels good in the moment will cost him his edge, his respect, his future. Practically, this means you start building tiny acts of hardness into your day. You wake up when you say you will, not when you feel like it. You finish the set when your muscles burn. You speak up once when you normally would have swallowed your voice. You sit with your anxiety for 5 minutes instead of numbing it with your phone. Every time you do that, you send a new signal to your nervous system. We are not weak, we do hard things. If this is hitting you right now, pause and share this video with one man who needs to hear it. And drop this in the comments as a declaration. I choose discipline over comfort. You're starting to see the pattern. Softness is not random. It's the result of repeated self-betrayal and comfort worship. In the next part, you're going to see the next layer of harsh truth, how your emotional reactions are making you easy to control, and how Stoic calm turns you into a man no one can play with. You've started to see it. Softness isn't an accident. It's a pattern of self-betrayal and comfort worship. Now we go deeper, because even if you fix your boundaries and your habits, there's another enemy that keeps you weak, your own emotional reactions. The harsh Stoic truth is this: As long as your emotions control you, other people control you. Think about how fast you can be triggered. One text, one comment, one look, someone leaves you on read, and your mind spins a story. She must be losing interest. He must be disrespecting me. They must be laughing at me. You feel the heat rise in your chest, and suddenly you're not grounded. You're performing. You double text. You send a long paragraph. You post something petty. You raise your voice. You defend yourself to people who are never even listening. In that moment, you are not a man. You are a puppet. Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Modern life has made that quote even more brutal, because now your reactions are instant, public, and permanent. Screenshots, DMs, stories. One moment of emotional weakness can haunt you for years. The Stoic warrior understands this. The first thing you must master is not the world. It's your pause. Psychologically, when you react instantly, you let your nervous system lead your life. Old wounds, old fears, old insecurities take the wheel. That's why you regret what you said after you calm down. Your higher self wasn't speaking. Your unhealed self was. The practical move is simple. You build a gap. When you feel triggered, you don't respond. You don't explain. You don't rush to fix how they see you. You breathe. You step away from the phone. You let the surge pass through your body without acting on it. You decide to be bored, to feel the discomfort instead of trying to escape it with reaction. Then you ask one question. If I were the man I want to be, how would I respond to this? Maybe the answer is silence. Maybe it's a short, firm line. Maybe it's walking away completely. You start living by this identity statement. I am not moved by emotional games. The next harsh truth is just as ugly. Your addiction to validation is killing your power. You say you want respect, but watch how you behave. You post for approval. You speak to impress. You stay in situations where you are clearly not valued, just to avoid the feeling of being rejected. You give your time, your energy, even your body, just to feel chosen for a moment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." You say you love yourself, but you obey their opinion. You let likes, views, replies, and attention define your worth for the day. If they love you, you feel high. If they ignore you, you feel empty. That is no way for a man to live. In practice, you begin to starve that addiction. You do things that matter even when nobody sees them. You lift when no one is watching. You study when nobody claps. You build your body, your skills, your money, your character in silence. You shift from, "I hope they notice me," to, "I know who I am," with or without their attention. If this is hitting your ego, good. That ego is exactly what's been running your life. If you're still here, like the video and comment this as a new standard. I control my reactions. I don't chase validation. Ignore these truths, and you stay emotionally unstable, easy to manipulate, and constantly drained. Live by them, and you become calm, scarce, and hard to move. In the next part, we're going even deeper into the root of your softness, the victim mindset, the lack of purpose, and why you keep acting like life is happening to you instead of being led by you. That's where real power starts. You've started cutting off disrespect. You've stopped worshiping comfort. You're learning to control your reactions and starve your need for validation. That alone separates you from most men. But there's a deeper shift you still have to make, because underneath the softness, there's a story you keep telling yourself. And that story sounds like this. This is just how I am. This is just how life is. This always happens to me. That's the victim voice. And as long as you let it narrate your life, you'll keep acting like a man being dragged through his own story instead of writing it. The harsh Stoic truth is this: your life is shaped less by what happens to you and more by the story you choose to tell about it. You were rejected. You can call it proof that you're not enough, or proof that you dodged a bullet and saw someone's true character early. You were betrayed. You can call it a reason to close your heart, or proof that your standards needed to rise and your circle needed to shrink. You grew up without guidance. You can call it your forever excuse, or the reason you become the man who breaks the pattern. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." That quote is a mirror, because it forces you to stop blaming things and start taking responsibility for your view. The victim mindset lets you stay soft. It tells you you're powerless, so you don't have to change. It whispers that other people, the economy, your past, your parents, your ex, your boss, your genetics, are the reason you're stuck. A Stoic warrior doesn't deny that pain, injustice, and bad luck exist. He just refuses to build his identity on them. Right now, you have two identities fighting for control. The victim says, "Look at what they did to me." The warrior says, "Look at who I'm becoming because of it." The difference between them is purpose. Without purpose, life feels like a storm you're trapped in. You just react. Waves hit, and you get tossed around. You wake up, go to work, distract yourself, chase a little pleasure, escape the pain, repeat. Of course you feel soft. You're not on a path. You're just drifting. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." If your only ambition is to feel good, your worth in your own eyes will stay low. You will act low. You will settle low. But when you choose a purpose, even a simple one, the whole battlefield shifts. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" And you start asking, "How do I use this?" Rejection becomes fuel for better standards. Betrayal becomes a lesson in discernment. Loneliness becomes a forge where your discipline, your body, your focus are rebuilt from the ground up. Picture yourself standing in front of a mirror. On one side, the man you've been, reactive, distracted, apologizing for existing, waiting to be chosen. On the other side, the man you're becoming, steady eyes, relaxed jaw, clear direction, willing to walk alone for as long as it takes. The path between those two men is not talent, it's choice, repeated daily. If this is waking something up in you, don't let it stay a feeling. Like, subscribe, and share this with someone who's tired of being stuck in their own victim story. Then claim this in the comments: "I am not a victim. I am a man on a mission." You've seen the truths. You've felt the sting. You've glimpsed the warrior inside you. Now it's time for the final part, turning all of this into concrete marching orders, so you don't just feel different for a few minutes, but live different for the rest of your life. You've walked through the fire. You've seen where you've been soft, where you've betrayed yourself, where you've handed your power over to other people, to comfort, to old stories. Now this is where it all comes together, not as theory, as orders. You know the truths now. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. Comfort is a cage you've been decorating. Uncontrolled emotion makes you easy to play. Validation addiction keeps you begging instead of leading. The victim story keeps you small and directionless. All of that has been running silently in the background. From today, it becomes conscious. And when it's conscious, it becomes your responsibility. The Stoics were not sitting around feeling sorry for themselves. They were men in the arena. Emperors, slaves, statesmen, teachers, facing war, disease, betrayal, and death. And still, they came back to one core reality. You may not control what happens, but you control who you are in the middle of it. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That's the line that should echo in your head after this video. No more arguing, no more overthinking, no more waiting for the right mood, the right partner, the right timing, the right motivation. Be one. So here are your marching orders, laid into your mind like steel. First, you raise your standards with yourself before you ever demand more from anyone else. When you say you're going to do something, you do it, even when no one is watching. You become the man whose own word actually means something. When you trust yourself, your energy changes. People feel it. Second, you treat comfort like a reward, not a lifestyle. Every day, you do at least one thing that makes you uncomfortable on purpose. The extra rep, the honest conversation, the focused hour with your phone away, the decision to walk away from disrespect instead of trying to convince it to love you. You harden your mind the way a blacksmith hardens iron, heat and pressure, again and again. Third, you protect your emotional control like it's your weapon. You pause before you respond. You breathe before you react. You ask, what would the man I want to be do right now? And you obey that answer, not the fear, not the ego, not the trigger. You become calm, not because life is easy, but because you refuse to be owned by every feeling. Fourth, you stop begging the world to validate you. You choose a path, even a small one, and you walk it daily. You lift, you build, you learn, you create. You improve for one main audience, the man in the mirror. You are no longer performing for strangers. You're earning your own respect. Finally, you bury the victim story and replace it with a mission. Your past is not your excuse, it's your training ground. Every rejection, every betrayal, every lonely night becomes fuel. The question is no longer, why did this happen to me? The question is, how do I use this to become stronger, clearer, more dangerous in my calm? From this point forward, your identity is not the guy who got hurt or the guy who was disrespected. Your identity is the man who decided that it stops here. The man who refused to stay soft. The man who turns pain into power, distraction into discipline, chaos into composure. If this spoke to you, don't let it fade when the video ends. Like this, share it with a man who needs a wake-up call, and subscribe so you're not walking this path alone. This is a community of Stoic warriors, men who are done being dragged by life and are ready to lead themselves. Then mark your line in the comments with this final affirmation. I choose strength over softness every day. Remember this, no one is coming to save you, but the moment you decide to save yourself, to harden your mind, to walk with quiet, dangerous calm, the entire way the world responds to you begins to change. Walk out of this video like a man who finally understands this simple truth. You are not here to be soft. You are here to be unshakable.